You're feeling stuck in your business, you're not alone. In this video, I'm going to discuss 5 common traps that keep business owners stuck. Chances are one of them may be holding you back, so stay with me. If you don't already know me, hi, I'm Jeff McKoy, your favorite faith and business strategist. I help coaches and experts to overcome burnout and confusion, blending the spiritual nature of their perspective with practical tactics to launch and grow their business. Now, lack of a strategy is not the problem. Information is everywhere. You already know that. It's all the other stuff that causes the problem. I'm going to touch on the 5 most common traps that hold entrepreneurs like you back, starting with burnout. Why do entrepreneurs end up so burned out? Well, primarily it's because of all of the unsustainable methods and strategies that they try to use at once. They get this big jolt of energy and they want to go all in, thinking that they can actually sustain that level of energy and output on a long-term basis. Also, they're putting in long hours with few breaks in between, and as a result, their physical and emotional well-being is exhausted. Then you have to look at the next reason, being that they find themselves overwhelmed. They end up taking on too many tasks. There are tons of decisions that have to be made, and they're trying to do all of these things, handle the task, handle the decisions, and they're taking in too much information that they feel like they got to process all at once. So it just kind of takes them to their limits. They experience a lack of time, and the thing is that they haven't developed the proper relationship with time for the work that they're actually doing, so that they can have a systematic and flowing system. Now, you also would want to look at overworking, which kind of falls right hand in hand with the burnout. The thing is that when we went through the schooling system, we were trained to be good employees. And the thing is, we were taught to raise our hands and ask for permission. And if we do a good job, we do our work, we work hard, make good grades, maybe we'll be able to get into a good college, and then maybe we'll get a good job, and then we'll be able to have maybe a good life. That's kind of the hope. But it doesn't always work out that way. That to be the case. Also, entrepreneurs tend to work 12 to 14 hours, and that type of stuff will cause this burnout of energy and this overworking situation. And so they have very limited resources many times, and they believe in their spirit, in their heart, that they got to work hard to make money. And that's just not the truth. I mean, can you think of anyone that you know who has a lot of money who didn't work hard necessarily to get it? I mean, we know, even if you don't know anyone personally, people out there who just love what they do, and they're just making an incredible living doing it, and they're not having to struggle to get the monies that they get into their life. Another thing that keeps these entrepreneurs stuck is that they are confused. It comes down to a lack of clarity. They don't have a clear direction. Many times they don't have a strategy, and it's not because strategies aren't available. Information is everywhere, but they don't have one that fits them. Or they may run into information overload with no advice at all on how to run a business, market their services, or even manage their finances. Also, there is a misalignment of their vision and their strategy. The thing is that there is a secondary wind there. There's usually something that's standing in the way that's preventing them from moving forward, that may not be on the conscious surface of their mind. They might have to think a little bit to get to it, but usually when they're not moving forward, something is getting in the way and holding them back and preventing them from making that process, or the progress rather. But there is that secondary wind or protection that protects them from something. When you don't move forward, when you don't succeed, and when you don't really get out there and do your thing, it's like, you get into a place to where it's protecting you from putting yourself out there when you focus on the busy work and the things that don't necessarily move the needle and move your business forward. The truth of the matter is that motion in and of itself is not necessarily productive. You're not making progress just because you're moving, because you can move in place. Anybody can run in place. Now, the thing is, what do all of these have in common with one another? They all have the 5th one in common, which is fear. That fear may show up in the form of fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown, fear of making the wrong decision. I mean, it's paralyzing, and it breeds a lack of confidence in yourself, and it leads you to making weak decisions. And the thing is it cripples you. I mean, I know I had my own personal experiences with being crippled by fear. I wrestled personally with imposter syndrome, just not feeling like, well, hey, who am I for anyone to listen to me? Am I really an expert, or am I really good enough to be doing this? Should they be listening to me? I wrestled with that. Many of us wrestle with it. All of us wrestle with it at some point when we first get into our business or start our businesses off. We wonder if we have what it takes. Another thing that I wrestled with was trying to be all things to all people, and dealing with perfectionism, trying to get, it's like, and I learned along the way that perfectionism is just a mechanism to keep you safe. It's designed to keep you safe from being criticized or ridiculed or looked at, from a negative light. So it's really a protection mechanism more so than it is about achieving excellence, because you can achieve incredible excellence without achieving perfection. And so you want to keep that particular thing in mind as well. Another thing that I wrestled with personally was fear of wasting my time. It's like, okay, is this thing here going to work? Is it going to work for me? I don't know. It's like I didn't have the monies to invest in anybody initially when I first started out, and I was like, is this stuff really going to work? Am I wasting my time? So I chose all of the organic methods, and I did not have anybody working with me or build any kind of team or anything like that. And the thing is, so there's the fear of wasting my time. It was one of my holdups. Also, it was a lack of faith in outcomes. It's like when you are out there doing certain things, it's like you see them working for other people, and you don't know for certain if it's going to actually work out. You don't fully believe yet. I mean, once you achieve it, it's easy to believe. But before you've achieved a certain level of success, it can be difficult to believe that it will happen for you. But the thing is that 99% of your success has already taken place in the spiritual realm, if you will. If you have stayed fast on your faith, and you've held on to the belief, 99% of it will have already been accomplished before you ever see the first sign of it materializing in front of your face. So remember that many people quit just short of the finish line. Don't be that person. Most people don't believe in the possibility of their own success. And so like they're spiritually misaligned. Their actions are misaligned. And the thing is, anytime you are operating in this type of misalignment, you are operating from a negative paradigm, a negative perspective, and you're not aware of the spiritual nature of your perspective and how it can influence not only your actions and your decisions, the inspiration that you get from within to make the right decisions that are going to lead you down the right path. So anytime you are operating in misalignment, if you're not in a good internal state, a good emotional state, a good spiritual state, when you go to work, you will find that most of the time, if I dare say all the time, but just for the sake of argument, I'll say most of the time, that you will find that everything that you come up where you feel inspired to take action, or you take action, is usually out of desperation or neediness or lack. And when you are making decisions and you're taking actions based upon that particular spiritual state and perspective, you almost inevitably make the wrong choice. You choose the wrong path, make the wrong decisions, and you make decisions that will lead you further away from where you want to be. And they all end at the same place, which is failure or no results. So you have to make your decisions from an aligned internal state. And that's why your perspective is so important. Now, most people, they think that movement, like I said, is progress, but and their belief, they believe that there's like one right strategy. And many people out there may try to tell you that there's only one strategy or one way, but the truth be told, there are many ways. And the strategy that you might know about was just that person's way. the way that they arrived at their destination. But the truth of the matter is, if you're out there and you're just trying to blindly take someone's strategy and apply it to your business, and you neglect the internal aspects, and you neglect the perspectives, and you neglect the faith and the belief that's required, you won't get the alignment of synchronicities, and the right resources won't show up in the right times, or the right people won't be in place at the right times. You'll find one obstacle after another, and you may have experienced that as you have operated from a place of desperation and difficulty. But when you are able to understand the spiritual nature of your perspective, and you are able to hone in on that and shift it and blend that into your strategic methodology, you will find that things will start to flow. They'll start to have ease and just a fluidness of access. It becomes like floating on a float downstream. Doing as opposed to trying to swim upstream. You're floating on a stream that's in a float. And yeah, I know I said that backwards, but anyway, you follow what I'm talking about. The thing I'm getting at is that you don't want to be in a place to where you are totally relying solely on your gut and hoping for luck. And you don't want to be in a place where you're totally reliant on strategy, because you need that nuance. You need that interweaving of perspective and strategy and data to be able to make informed decisions. There are going to be some decisions that have to go strictly by the data. And then there's going to be other decisions that you have to trust your gut with to make the right decisions. And how can you trust your gut if you don't even acknowledge it, and you don't know how to tap in, and you don't know how to sense and feel the right path and follow the signs of your heart? So those things are important. And most people are just too externally focused. They neglect their personal growth, their spiritual perspectives. And the thing is, you can't show up in spirit and truth separate from the truth of your spiritual being. The doing is no greater than the being who is taking the action, or the being who is doing the doing. Now, that you'll find out more about a little bit later on. I'll talk about that a little bit more. You can learn about it in the logical levels, with Richard Bandler. And we'll talk about those things in upcoming videos. But right now, what I want you to do is I want you to look at your own situation. We know that most people, unfortunately, their businesses are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Their lives are destroyed for lack of knowledge. They make poor decisions because of lack of knowledge. I want you to have all of the knowledge to make informed decisions that are in your best interest. So with that understanding, I want you to imagine overcoming these challenges with ease and grace. What would it feel like? What would it be like? I mean, how would your life look? How would it change if everything suddenly became easier and simpler, and you were able to hit those benchmarks that you were striving for? What would become possible for you that hasn't been possible so far? Well, if you want to know how to get to that place, or get the answer, or how to get from where you are to where you actually want to be, stay tuned for the how. If you liked this content, please let me know. I'll be doing a series of videos to address some of the common challenges that we face as entrepreneurs and how to overcome them. If you will, share your biggest business challenges and your hurdles inside the comments below, and let's tackle them head on. If you prefer, you can shoot me a private message and I'll discuss it in a future video. So stay tuned. See you soon.